Welcome to This Explainer by Forge College. We're jumping right into designing attack simulations today. If you recall our last lesson on the foundations of threat modeling inside the Smart Contract Security Audit capstone, we essentially drafted the master blueprint for an elaborate bank heist. You know exactly where the guards are, you know the vault thickness, you've spotted that one weak air vent. But here's the thing, blueprints don't actually steal the gold, right? Today, we are taking everything we know about theoretical vulnerabilities and translating those threat models into undeniable, hard-coded proof. We're building a replica of the vault in a warehouse, and we're actually going to blow the doors off, hopefully without taking our own eyebrows off in the process.
So, here's our exact roadmap for the heist blueprint today. We'll start by moving from theory to reality. Then we'll define a very precise objective. From there, we'll look at real-world scenarios, build out the actual simulation setup, and finally, show exactly how to prove the vulnerability to anyone who asks.
All right, part one, from theory to reality. So in our previous lesson, we built the map, right? Identifying the high-risk assets, those critical transaction flows, the attacker capabilities. That is all the theory you see on the left. But on the right, the attack simulation is the actual rehearsal in the warehouse. We aren't just pointing at a diagram anymore and saying, yeah, I think they could sneak in through here. No. We are writing a concrete script that proves exactly what happens step by step when they actually do.
This right here is really our mantra for today. Simulations entirely eliminate what I affectionately call vibes-based auditing. You know, where you just squint at the code and say it feels a little wrong. We're replacing that speculation with hard empirical evidence. Because honestly, if you can't run a script that clearly proves the vulnerability, you cannot properly prioritize it, and you certainly can't test if the fix even works. Which brings us to section 2, defining the objective.
Look, before we go aggressively trying to break into the vault, we need a really precise goal. A proper simulation objective has to be surgical. It combines three exact things: the attacker's ultimate goal, the specific logic they are exploiting, and the measurable outputs. So instead of saying something vague like, hey, I'm going to break the oracle, your objective needs to be, I will demonstrate that providing a false price to the price oracle allows an attacker to liquidate a specific position at an under-collateralized ratio and steal exactly 1,000 Z tokens. See the difference? It's incredibly specific. And notice how cleanly we can map these abstract heist goals right into concrete code. Your attacker capability, that literally just becomes a private key and a signing routine in your script. The preconditions turn into state initialization calls, basically funding the wallets and setting the stage. Your execution sequence is simply that tightly ordered list of transactions. And finally, the success indicators are the cold, hard math, the balance differences and event logs sitting there at the end of the run.
Now, you absolutely have to keep these two completely separate. The attack mechanism is the act of breaking in. The validation mechanism is the read-only snapshot you take to measure your success. I like to think of it like Schrodinger's vault. You literally never want the act of measuring the vault's balance to accidentally trigger a smart contract alarm or burn unnecessary gas or mess up the timing of your actual heist. Read-only calls ensure you're just quietly observing the fallout.
Moving on to section 3, real-world scenarios.
Out in the wild, you're going to be simulating things like front-running and time-of-check to time-of-use attacks, or complex state-dependent reentrancy chains, and of course, oracle manipulations. And the thing is, each of these requires wildly different timing controls in your script. A front-running simulation, for instance, demands flawless transaction ordering inside the exact same block, like rushing the door right before the guard locks it. But reentrancy? That requires carefully crafted malicious fallback functions, essentially looping through the exit door over and over again. Let's actually step through an oracle attack chronologically. First up, you set the borrower's collateralization ratio. Second, the attacker submits an artificially low price to the oracle. Third, the attacker triggers the liquidation function, stealing the collateral. And finally, they restore the price to hide their tracks, and you take a snapshot. Your script has to perfectly mirror this exact chronological sequence from your threat model. No skipping steps, period. All right, section 4, the simulation setup. Time to gather our gear. Here is your loadout. You'll need an RPC endpoint, usually a local fork of mainnet so you've got real state to play with. You need compiled ABIs, deterministic private keys, some mock tokens to fund your attacker, and a meticulously organized directory for your JSON logs. And honestly, keeping your environment perfectly organized is a foundational skill we emphasize heavily across all Forge College learning programs. Trust me, it is going to save you massive headaches later when you're actually trying to prove your results to a dev team. Out of the box, every single simulation script you write is going to need 3 core capabilities. Number 1, State initialization. This is setting the stage, minting tokens, and setting up the exact victim state. Number 2, attack execution. Running your transactions with incredibly strict nonce control so your ordering is flawless. And number 3, instrumentation. Taking those pre- and post-execution snapshots of balances and storage slots so you can accurately measure the damage.
Now, a truly top-tier explainer of a vulnerability doesn't just show one perfect happy path scenario. You need to test orthogonal precondition variations. Ask yourself, does your heist only work on a completely empty, quiet street? That's your minimal variation. Fewest assumptions, easiest to reproduce. But can it survive the absolute chaos of rush hour traffic? That is your stressed variation, where you're testing with gas pressure, competing transactions, and totally realistic on-chain noise.
Which brings us to our final part, section 5, proving the vulnerability. So we've built the script. How do we actually prove to stakeholders that this is real? Well, the crucial point is this. Your success criteria absolutely must be deterministic test assertions. We do not rely on a gut feeling that the state looks wrong. We need exact math. If the attacker's balance didn't increase by the precise expected delta, or the target storage slot didn't flip exactly as predicted, your simulation assertion should fail. Simple as that.
Generally, you're going to use 2 types of indicators here. Binary indicators are just your simple true or false checks, like did the liquidation function execute without reverting, yes or no? Quantitative indicators, on the other hand, are your actual state diffs. By exactly what multiple did the collateral decrease? Measuring that precise financial impact is exactly what transforms a theoretical bug into a drop everything and fix it critical issue for a protocol team. Okay, but how do we know the protocol's new security door actually works to stop us? Easy. You build a mitigation on-off toggle right into your script. You run the exact same attack sequence with the mitigation enabled, and you watch what happens. Does the transaction gracefully revert? Does your automated assertion that says attacker stole funds suddenly flip from a pass to a fail? That right there is how you definitively validate a fix. And that brings us to the ultimate artifact of this entire process. It's not a long narrative document. It's a machine-readable JSON report. It clearly details the variant run, the timestamps, the precise pre- and post-attack state diffs, and your automated assertion results. This structured output is the undeniable proof you need for those next phases of scenario analysis and risk prioritization. So I'll leave you with this provocative question to chew on. Are you just testing the empty street, or are you actually testing rush hour? Does your protocol's mitigation stop the theoretical attack nicely on paper, but fail completely when put under stressed, realistic on-chain conditions? It's a massive distinction. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer by Forge College. If you want to dive deeper into attack simulations and master other Web3 related topics, I highly encourage you to head over to forge.college and check out the rest of the smart contract security track. Keep experimenting, keep testing those limits, and I'll catch you in the next one.